morning and welcome to Our Stories. Our guest this morning is Kay Mason. Kay and I've been talking particularly about the role that music has played in her participation here at First Pres. Kay, you indicated that being involved in music at First Pres as a youngster had a huge impact on your life. At what age did you start being involved in music here, and who was the choir director then, and what do you remember about that?
I started singing in choir when I was 3. Glennie Merwin, a lot of people remember, was the choir director, the children's choir director.
Mm-hmm.
The things I remember are standing on the steps of the sanctuary to sing, and we had white robes that looked like, angels, big white sleeves, and came down to just below your hips. And when you were in the 3, 4, and 5-year-old choir, you had great big yellow bows. And when you got to the 1st and 2nd and 3rd grade choir, you got to change those to black bows, but you still had the same white uniforms, white robes. Don't remember the next one for the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, or 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. But then when you got to junior high, then you got to have Festus as your choir director, so you're kind of a grown-up.
Oh, yeah.
And you got to wear regular choir robes, and you got to hold your music, which meant you were singing like way harder stuff. So we thought we were cool by the time we got to junior high.
So, big time stuff with Festus,
Yes.
huh?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you got to sing from the balcony, too, so that was a big deal.
Oh. So, in the junior high school years, any memorable experiences that part of being, involved with music that?
When Glennie was our choir director, she started doing plays that were not church plays.
Mm-hmm.
My sister sent me some pictures the other day that she had found someplace, and one of them was she and I each ready to go to our church play.
Yeah.
And I had on my Peter Pan costume, and she had on her Oklahoma costume. So she had on a long dress, and the reason she thought about it was she had a shawl on that had belonged to our neighbor. Neither of us knew her, but someone who had been our neighbor, who was Fanny Bivens, the first female lawyer in Macon County. And she'd put a note on it. This was Fanny Bivens' shawl, because we'd been talking about her. So I remember that. I remember being Buzzy the Bee in some play, a younger one.
Yeah.
And then Glennie moved, so we didn't do those anymore. But when we were in high school, Festus did some rock musicals, because that was cool in the 70s.
Yeah.
So we did a few with him.
Besides participating in music here at First Pres, when did you start getting involved with other musical organizations?
Well, Glennie pulled a group of 5 girls, including her daughter, when we were either 4 and 5 or 5 and 6. We were very, very young. And we met at her house. We were not a church group. She just pulled us from here.
Yeah.
And we practiced at her house once a week, and then we would sing at things like mother-daughter banquets or teacher meetings or something, things like that. We did that until she moved. I would think I was in 4th grade when she moved. Other than that, just stuff at school.
School, yeah.
Choir, choir and band at school.
Right, yeah. What sort of musical taste did you feel like you were exposed to, or that you began to develop? What was your?
It was only church choir and school music, school choir. That's all we had. So that was the only opportunities available then.
Yeah.
So I'm sure at school we had lots of variety.
Sure.
But mostly just,
Yeah.
church music.
From being in musical groups like that and performing, you feel like there were things other than music that those opportunities provided to you that were part of your growth?
Well, I will say some of my very close friends are still that group of girls. like Becky Spires.
Hmm.
She was in our Pinafore group. Gosh, just probably just having 5 girls being able to get along together was probably a good social issue.
And I think, I would have to guess that probably just your comfort of being able to stand in front of people.
Yes,
and,
I do not have a problem standing in front of people or
Yeah.
singing in front of people.
Yeah.
I hate making phone calls, but I can stand in front of a group or sing in front of a group with no problem.
Yeah, okay. How about during your college years? Were you involved in musical groups there?
Well, I still came here because I was at Millikan, so I still came here and sang in what we called the senior choir,
Mhm.
which was high school students and adults. The adults like to sing in that one instead of the sanctuary choir because it sang more modern,
Hmm.
contemporary music,
Yeah,
and the sanctuary choir sang more
traditional.
traditional music. So I did that, and then I was part of what they called the choral union at Millikan, which was students and community members. So we did Messiah every year.
Hmm.
I was not in the Millikan choir. I didn't make it.
Hmm.
I was in something for a couple of years called the Liturgical Singers, which sang for their religious life. We were the choir for their religious life series.
Hmm. Okay. Well, once you're out of school and you're married and started a family and working, were you able to squeeze in music?
Church choir.
Yeah.
That was it. That was it.
Yeah.
I did some Theater 7 shows, not when I had young children though.
Yeah.
Before children, I did some of those musicals, and I enjoyed that, but
Sure.
did not have time for that later.
Well, once, kids were no longer such a major responsibility and so forth, I would assume you began to take on getting involved in some other musical
And
groups.
that's when I joined Opus 24.
Yeah.
When my kids when they went to college, and they practice on Tuesday nights, and that was all your high school activities are on Tuesday nights.
Yeah.
So I didn't pursue it while they were still at home. But once they left for college, then yes, I joined Opus, and I've been there ever since.
That's good. Throughout your life, and particularly as you think about your experiences here at First Pres in music, what things have you seen in the music area here that have changed, and which ones are, haven't changed?
I think overall, I think we've had a surprisingly few number of choir directors in my adult life.
Yeah.
We had Festus, we had Louise Kidd temporarily while we looked for a new choir director. We had Kathleen Bell for years. We got Doug, we've had Claire. I think that's not a lot for
No,
that many years, and I think that's amazing.
It is.
We have had incredible organists. That has not, even though the people have changed, the quality certainly hasn't changed. And I think the emphasis that this church puts on music as part of worship has not changed at all. Just a few faces.
What, as you look back and reflect, what are your feelings about the kinds of things that you think that music here at First Pres has brought to your life?
I think that it's important in all of your life. Music is just part of everything.
Right.
It doesn't have to just be a hymn here or an anthem there. We pull it in all kinds of music here, and it's just always been a part of my life. I don't know how to separate it out.
I think one of the things that I would say is that the music here I find to be more eclectic.
Yes, I think that's what I was trying to say. That we do all types, and bring in the bands and the soloists and
It's
bells,
around,
and we do a little bit of everything here, and I think that's one thing I really like about it.
Well, thanks so much for sharing about your experience with the musical life of First Pres.
Thank you.
Okay.
it's been an important part of my life.